This is another Black Girl podcast. Black girl. We're doing our best to make it last. This is another Black Girl podcast. We're doing our best to make it last. Another Black Girl podcast. Hey everybody, this is your host Lauren Lori. Something is happening. Give me a second. I'm gonna get it right. Yeah, that was a complete lie. Things just look weird on my computer. Anyways, this is the 17th episode of another Black Girl podcast. As always, I am your host, Lauren, Lori, Laura, whatever. Honestly, who cares? And we're back for another episode. I hope that you had a great and phenomenal... Ooh, drop my phone. I hope you had a great and phenomenal, very safe and productive week. This week I saw a post on Instagram that said that self-care also counts as being productive. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. I had to read it twice. But I was like, wait, it does. And so often, I don't know about you, but my mind has been conditioned to thinking that self-care is not productive. Because usually I used to think of self-care as lighting a candle, burning some sage, sitting outside, crisscross applesauce in a forest somewhere. But that's not accurate. Self-care can be taking a shower, getting some sleep, so you can wake up with a clearer mind and you are more available and able to do your work when you get up. Self-care could be eating a meal. Because how are you productive if you don't take care of your instrument, your body, So yes, this is the first of many tangents, but if you're a regular here, you already know the vibes. So, I just want to say thank you for being here, thank you for your presence, and little by little, some more people are tuning in, so wherever you are, whatever age group, wherever you live, whatever demographic, whatever you identify as, I'm appreciative of your presence. And I'm glad that you are here. In recent episodes, I have spoken about the state of our nation in terms of the election. And if you didn't know, Biden-Harris 2020. Yay. All the shade was intended there if you didn't catch it. But yes, Biden-Harris won the election. And in recent days, I've seen some people bashing those celebrating, but we're not celebrating Mr. Biden. We're celebrating the current sitting president not being reelected. But for whatever reason you have, listen, you have to find the silver lining somewhere. Am I right? Because I guess the world has run out of silver thread. So yes, if you haven't already celebrated, if you didn't know what you know, I am here to tell you. And at the beginning of each episode, I've got to plug the socials. So if you don't already know, if you don't know where to find me on the socials meaning Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and my brand new website with some new graphics. Go check it out if you haven't already seen it. I'm very excited. You can find me on Instagram at AnotherBGI, Twitter at AnotherBGT, Facebook at AnotherBGF, and most importantly, you can find me on my website at www.anotherbg.com. Again, there's some new graphics. Check it out. There's some contact me sections. You can book me there. You can reach out to me there. We can talk about some business ventures there. We can talk about my Instagram aesthetics. We can talk about the theme song. Whatever you want. Whatever feedback you got, that's the section to tell me about it on. If you don't tell me in my DMs. Oh, and also, you can get this podcast on Anchor, first and foremost, at anchor.fm/AnotherBGP. I hope that's correct, because I'm not about to check. My phone is on 20%. But anyways, we're about to get into this episode, so buckle your seatbelts. It's not going to be as crazy as the last episode. I'm sorry. I was cutting up. This time last Saturday, I was celebrating, trying to get turned. But we're about to get into this episode, so stay tuned. I don't know about y'all, but this week has been definitely a very weird week for me. It's the second week of November, and I'm sorry, I paused because I thought it was the first week, but I suddenly found my mind. So, it's the second week of November. Last month was the first month where we saw a blue moon, and I think the last one happened in like 1944 or something. Like, my parents weren't even alive when the last blue moon happened. So I think it's a once in a lifetime thing. So last month was our once in a lifetime blue moon. So very weird, very strange. I don't know what all the black Twitter spiritualists have to say about that, but I'm interested. So, November for me. My grandfather passed 3 years ago on November 1st. And then my great grandmother, her birthday was on November 11th, also known as Veterans Day. Also, shout out to all the veterans. Also, America, get your stuff together. Let's stop being war criminals. But besides the point, I guess. But my grandmother's birthday was on November 11th. And November is really becoming the year of the ancestors for me. It's very bittersweet. And last March, my great-grandmother passed, as I said before. But November has become like that girl for me. And I'm not sure what the significance is. I think that it is a great wake-up call because it is the second to last month before the year ends. And can't nothing shake you like grief or some bittersweet stuff, feel me? So, I mean, it's a great wake-up call. And if this is the first time you're hearing it, let me lean in. There is 1 month left until 2020 ends. 1 month. And you know, at the beginning of this year, like, can you remember your New Year's resolutions? Like, usually I can't because, girl, I can't even remember what I ate for dinner last night. Oop, my phone is not on silent. I am so sorry. But I can't even remember what I ate for dinner last night. How am I going to remember a New Year's resolution? And it's like, when you throw in a freaking pandemic into the mix, how am I supposed to remember what I said in December when I can't even remember life pre-pandemic? Like, what? Child, anyway, I have a planner, but you know, clearly there are some blank months outside of the bills that were due. There were, ooh, the bitterness jump. It's the bitterness for me. But outside of the bills that were due, ain't nothing was in my planner because I wasn't going nowhere. I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't seeing nobody. Like, all that happened was COVID, to be honest. And it's like this year, it was like from March to now, well, March to the end of the year, like, it was like somebody was simultaneously stepping on the gas and the brake. And you could hear the tires, you can smell the rubber, you could see the smoke, but where are you going, sis? Things were moving fast and slow at the same time, and I thought that things did before. But 2020 has preceded my expectations. At the beginning of the year, I was so happy. I was so excited to go into a new decade, a decade where I could enlist in the army. Like, not that I'm gonna, but like if I wanted to, I could go. Like, I could have did that in the last decade, but child, mind your business. Like a decade where I could actually like drink and stuff and like get into clubs. Not that I'm gonna go, but if I wanted to, give me the option. Taxes, child, don't nobody want to talk about that. I was paying taxes last decade, but like the decade to actually like step into semi-adulthood. That's a thing. The decade for me to step into grown folk business was this decade. So like your girl was excited. This is like the decade. I'm 22. If you didn't know, this is the decade for me to be fake grown, child. Cause I'm fake grown. I was about to say I'm grown, but I'm not. But whatever. But like that was that time. Like 2020 in this decade was supposed to be that girl, and now look. I was hyped up. I was hyped to go into 2020 like, new girl, new degree, get at me, hot girl. And now look. Child, God got a sense of comedy. And one that's better than mine, because I'm mad. But yes, November has definitely become the month of my ancestors, and I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm curious to find out. So, as I always say, I value your presence, I value your time, and I value your support. So, if you can, send me some good vibes. Send me some love or something. Because I've been going through it this past week. Things have been happening. And also, like, the first everything without a loved one is very difficult. And I feel like that's the hardest part of a breakup. But, like, what if you ain't even break up? Like, what if the person just, like, smooth died? Feel me? Like, dang. This is not funny. Let me stop laughing. Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. That's the only reason why I'm laughing. But the first everything without that loved one is hard. It's hard, y'all. And I know y'all know. So if you can, send me some good vibes. I'll appreciate it. And yeah. I just wanted to say that. So if the energy feels a little different, I apologize. Yeah. If anything feels weird, thanks for sticking with it. Thanks for sticking with me as always. I appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to move on to the next segment. Oh, but before we do, if the energy's feeling a little weird for you, I know one thing for me that it's definitely got me through is, just remembering the good moments and working through my Deca Affirmations ebook once again. If you are interested in the ebook that takes a deep dive into the affirmations from the first 10 episodes, you can always find it on www.anotherbg.com under the subcategory in the top left corner that says shop. It is the only thing available for purchase right now. It retails for $15. It is 39 pages, and I would be so grateful if you purchased it and let me know what you thought before the next one drops. Because yeah, some big things are coming in these next couple weeks, and I'm very excited for you to experience that with me. So yes, on to the next segment. Let's go. So, if you follow me on Instagram at AnotherBGI, I've been posting this week about ways to decompress from stress election. I know quite a few people, myself included, let me not do that. Let me speak for myself. This election has resulted in sleepless nights, some stress, some anxiety. You already know, so I have been posting this week because I know some of my pals, friends, aunties, cousins, whatever, have also been experiencing some of the same things as I do, as well as other manifestations of stress. So if you follow me on Instagram, I have been posting about it, but this is going to be the main category and the main subject/topic of today's episode. So, according to the Mayo Clinic, which is everything that the thing was based on, it was corroborated by other sites, but it was mostly based on the Mayo Clinic. There are a whole bunch of common effects of stress. So there's headache, anxiety, overeating, undereating, muscle tension or pain, restlessness, angry outbursts, chest pain, lack of motivation, lack of focus, drug or alcohol misuse, fatigue, feeling overwhelmed, change in sex drive, ability or anger, social withdrawal, upset stomach, sadness, depression, exercising less often, and sleep problems. A lot of those sound like synonyms, but whatever. We're not even going to talk about that. The ways that this past election has affected me has been anxiety, a little bit of both, over and under eating, muscle tension, restlessness, angry outbursts, a little chest pain, to be honest, lack of focus, definitely, feeling overwhelmed, irritability, anger, the list goes on. It's important to acknowledge the ways in which this election and the way that COVID stress, pandemic stress, has affected our lives. So if you need a proper assessment, rewind this podcast to where I actually listed those things and take an honest assessment. Have you been doing any of these things? Do you need to rehabilitate yourself from some of these things? Do you need to take a breather? Do you need to take a break? Do you need to take a moment to recharge, recognize, and then stop these behaviors that might not be beneficial to you? Also, disclaimer, I am not a medically trained professional of any sort, but I'm somebody that cares about you and your current state, I guess. And of course, I can't tell you if I haven't been guilty of it. I can't tell you if I haven't also undergone the same stress that you might be currently enduring. We can't operate to our highest and max potential if we are not first and foremost taking care of ourselves. And that's why I said what I said about that tweet about self-care. Self-care is, in fact, productive. Because how can you be productive if you don't take care of yourself? Yes, before you get all smart, alecky on me, it is possible, but it is not beneficial for you. It is possible and beneficial for whoever you are working for, but it might not be the best for you. So please, if you haven't yet, take a minute. Assess your feelings, assess the way you've been living, assess what you've been going through. Because right now, I feel like a lot of people are still in the state of shock, as am I. To hear that 200,000 plus have succumbed to COVID-19 symptoms is unfathomable in my mind. To hear that more than 1 million people were affected by this, including myself and my family, is unfathomable. But you know, at some point we've got to come to terms with it. At some point we have to acknowledge it, confront those feelings, and not move on, but learn how to begin to process and deal with these things, because they are important. And the way we deal with this is going to define who we are as adults moving through the world. I'm speaking specifically maybe to those in my age group, but to everybody in the struggle, to everybody listening, this is going to affect the way that we move through the world after this. And that is so, 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 so important. Me personally, I remember snapping on my mom because she made a joke about an election after one of her coworkers, who is a Republican and Donald Trump supporter, spoke about how there was going to be a civil war, and she seemed, to the way it was told to me, it kind of seemed like it was a threat. Not only is this insidious racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia affecting people's lives outside of work, it's also directly found in the workplace. So my mother made a joke about something in that regard, and I just remember snapping. And I went up to my room and I slammed the door, and I remember that I had to do a quick and completely truthful assessment of myself, because she didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve me yelling at her and storming off and being like a bratty 16-year-old, because I'm not. It should have just been a conversation at that. And like I always say, you have to laugh to keep from crying. But all of my stress, all of the anxiety, all of my fears, I placed it onto her at that moment, and she did not deserve that. And even until the sleepless nights, the night of the election, that time last year, I was in college, and I remember not getting any sleep. until about 2 a.m. and then finally giving in because I had class the next morning because I was sure that Hillary was going to win because she was in the lead of the popular vote. So I was like, okay, we got this in the bag. I'm going to go to sleep. And then I woke up and it was the apocalypse. Of course, I'm being dramatic, but you know the vibes. So this year, it was like, you know what? I can't go to sleep because I went to sleep last time and look what happened. Maybe if I stay up and I watch it, maybe I won't be as surprised. But of course, Nevada and everywhere took forever to count the votes. But specifically, we're still looking at you, Nevada, because you're the latest one to the party. But whatever. That's what it was. So there was a lot of anxiety, sleepless nights, angry outbursts, fatigue, feelings of being overwhelmed. I was overeating, undereating, and especially like if I stay up through the night, I'm gonna want to eat everything. So of course, like I can't speak about it to you unless I didn't endure it myself. And you know, even though we're in different parts of the world, and even though we're in different parts of maybe the country and different age groups and whatever, like I feel your pain and I know where you're at. So that's why it's so important for me to bring these topics to you and bring these stressor manifestations to you, because I had to look at myself honestly and truthfully. I had to put myself under the magnifying glass. And it's important that you do too. Because if we don't address it, it's only going to affect the way we move through the world after this. So, in researching and looking on Psychology Today, there's an article by Amy Morin that is basically titled 7 Ways Mentally Strong People Deal with Stress. 1. They accept that stress is a part of life, which it is. 2. They keep problems in proper perspective, which is one of my biggest issues, and it's the hardest thing for me to do. I let things grow and blow themselves way out of proportion, and that's why I have angry outbursts and feel overwhelmed and usually wind up crying somewhere into a pint of non-dairy Ben & Jerry's, whatever. 3. They take care of their physical health. In the past, I haven't done that, but recently, during this pandemic, I've started to be more cognizant of that, and it has benefited and it has helped me, even on days where I didn't feel like working out, because also those days come and they suck. But you know, once you get it done, you feel like more of a champion and there's some more confidence there. Number 4, they choose healthy coping skills. I gotta read the full thing for this one. While some people turn to alcohol, junk food, or other unhealthy vices to help them escape stress, mentally strong people cope with discomfort in a productive manner. They allow themselves to feel uncomfortable emotions like anxiety, fear, and sadness head on. They use healthy activities like going for a walk or participating in a hobby to cope with emotional pain, and that's a good one. All I'm going to say about that is that it's important that we do everything in moderation. So hopefully, and sometimes, especially when your emotions are unbalanced, it's easy for your life to go into a state of unrest and imbalance. It's important to find the proper levels of balance, the proper circumstance in which you can live a completely proportionate life. That is ultimately the goal. That is something that I still struggle with, but, you know, we're working towards it. My biggest thing of imbalance right now, since I have downloaded Among Us, that's been the most imbalanced thing in my life. So yeah, it's about balance. It's about finding what works. So, number 5, they balance social activity with solitude. Again, the word is balance. Again, this is something that I struggle with, whatever. 6, they acknowledge their choices. Stress can cause people to feel like victims of a bad circumstance. I'm reading the paragraph. I'm not plagiarizing. Basically, let me just paraphrase it. Basically, this is saying that mentally strong people acknowledge that they do in fact have free will and that they do in fact have a choice. And that choice, mentally strong people are willing to acknowledge, and they're willing to acknowledge how it affects the rest of their lives. So if they are unbalanced in one area, they're willing to acknowledge that, take it in, and assess, completely take responsibility, and move on. And number 7, like I said, was that mentally strong people look for the silver lining, which is so important to do. It's important to find one thing, one positive thing. Like I said last episode, it's important to find one small thing to get you through. Some days, for me, it's been that the sky was blue. Some days for me, like I told y'all, it's been the fact that I'm about to go to Starbucks and get a pumpkin spice latte or a peppermint mocha. It is so important. Maybe it's the fact that you know somebody loves you and that they're grateful for your presence here. Or that tomorrow and tonight you get to go to sleep. Ooh, that's been a good one for me. When there's absolutely nothing else to look forward to, when I'm completely broke, don't have money for Starbucks, I don't have a blue sky, and it's rainy and cloudy, the highlight of my day has been getting in the freaking bed. There were so many days where I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to go to sleep. I was be sitting in class like, yes, I get to go to sleep tonight. I don't have homework. I'm like sitting in class, like doing my homework so I don't have to deal with it when I get home. Listen, you have to find what works. You have to find what makes you happy. Even if that's like taking a bath, changing the linen, getting your hair done. It's important. It's important. Take care of you and find that silver lining. And 5 ways to deal with this stress I have on my Instagram. The first way is to move your body, like I said before. The second is to relax, meditate, and pray. Find some quiet time and take it. Regardless of what faith you may or may not be, even if it's to check in with yourself, close your eyes. Not sleeping. Make no mistake, because I used to think meditation was sleeping. Big mistake. It is not. Taking some quiet time to focus on and really check in with yourself. Number 3 is try to laugh. Watch something funny. For me, that is The Office. My whole family hates that show, but they know that I love it with a passion, and I have watched the entire series more than 3 times, and it is still funny to me. Find something that makes you happy. Find something that makes you laugh. I don't care how unfunny or corny it is. It's completely and totally for you. 4, spend time with your support system. Even if it's you FaceTiming your friend who you haven't heard from in a while, even if it's you going to pet your dog or calling your parents until they try to start an argument and then you hang up right before they do. Find time and spend it with your support system. Buy some Casamigos, do a socially distant talk with your friends, whatever that means to you. And lastly, do something you love. By yourself, with yourself, for yourself. 4 was with people, with your support system, with whomever. And 5 is by yourself, because it's important that we know the difference of being alone and being lonely. And as cliche as that sounds, being alone is the physical state. Oh, I'm sorry. The reel for my Instagram just opened, which is at another BGI, shameless plug. But there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Alone is the physical state. Being lonely is an emotional state. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have many a time felt alone. But it's in those moments where you find company and you meditate and you find the peace and love and silver lining within yourself. Those moments are the moments that matter most. So if you haven't yet, do something for yourself, even if that's drinking a bottle of water, eating your first meal, because I know it is Saturday, and some people sleeping, some people hungover. Do what you gotta do. Find the balance, journal, do what you need. Because at the end of the day, I always say you can always be your biggest critic or your biggest ally. Always. So I don't know about you, but I'm striving to be my biggest ally because I have enough critics in my life. But that's another episode, child. Be your biggest ally. You have nothing to lose. And yeah, I think that's it for this episode. That felt kind of quick. I hope it did for y'all too, because y'all know I could talk for a long time without even taking a breath. So I think that's it. Stay tuned, and we're going to wrap it up. Alright, so this is our last segment, the affirmations segment, the best part of every episode. Also, quick PSA, I told you that I'd be playing Among Us, and one of the games I was playing, somebody was like super sus. I didn't even mean to say sus, but they were sus. And they were like, oh, so and so's the imposter. And then the person who they accused was like, no, I'm not. They were like, Green is the imposter. And Green was like, oh, Cyan, no, I'm not. And they were like, I know. And we were all like, wait, what? Like, you wildin' right now. What happened? And this person was like, oh, I have a special trick. So we were all like, what's the trick? Because, there'd be like 163 seconds just playing out until you vote. So this person proceeds to say like they have like a special something that can, first of all, track everyone in the group, and second, lets them know who the imposter is. So like we're all like a little weirded out, and I'm like, LOL, like wait, what? Like I thought they were joking. And they were like, no, like I can tell that the imposter Green is from Nevada. And then like started like listing off like people's location. Child, I ain't never clicked out and turned my phone off so fast in my life, but that joint was scary. It was scary, like, oh my God. And like the person like said it so casually, like, oh yeah, it's super easy. So all I'm saying is, if you playing Among Us, first of all, play me. Second of all, be careful, because as always, there's some weirdos on the internet. Like, ooh, way to take the freaking fun out the game. And I stopped playing for a while, but you know what? I was like, I deserve this because my life deserves balance. So with that being said, the affirmation for this week is that I am balanced in all areas, in every single section of my life. And like I said before, November was a bittersweet month for me, but if there was no bitter moment in my life, I wouldn't be able to acknowledge the sweet. And don't nobody like them bitter moments. Don't nobody like to suffer. Don't nobody like pain. But it wasn't until after a major sickness I had a couple years ago that I realized and was so proud of my health and was so grateful for it. It wasn't until I was lonely that I appreciated being around people or finding company in myself. So being balanced in everything is very important. Balanced in health, balanced in wealth, balanced, not wealth in terms of money, but also being balanced in finances, being balanced in your savings, being balanced in your mind, being balanced in terms of the amount of love that you put out and the amount of love that you get back. I hope that in all your relationships, the love is reciprocated, which means that it's equal parts you and them. My utmost hope and wish for you is that you seek and find the very balance that you are looking for in your life, and that it's one that is healthy. As always, I love you, and I'm so grateful for your presence here. I'm so grateful that you tuned in. This has been the 17th episode of another Black Girl podcast with your girl Lori, Laura, Lauren, Renee, whoever, don't really care, the girl drinking the pumpkin spice latte or the peppermint mocha because it is finally the Christmas season. But yes, this is me. And again, I hope that you have another productive and safe week. I hope that you are taking care of yourself and wearing that mask above your nose. If you haven't already known, or if you haven't been notified, Joe Biden is the next president. If you haven't been notified, more importantly, we are in a second wave. So that means be safer. If you were lightening up, go back inside, lock the door, put on them air purifiers once again. Do what is necessary. Because again, we're seeking and striving for balance. So thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you next week. Also, some pretty big announcements are going to come up about the next season, so you're going to want to stay tuned for those. I'm not going to give you any spoilers in the meantime, but stay tuned so you can know and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be something a little different. So if you're getting bored with just hearing my voice, maybe someone else's voice will be coming up very soon. So stay tuned. And as always, I love you. Be safe. And stay balanced. That's all I got. Till next time. This is another Black Girl Podcast. Another Black Girl Podcast.